Hi everyone, it's Scally here. I thought I'd do an impromptu video on how PicoChess has evolved. Around mid-2016 I saw Ismet's video on YouTube re PicoChess 0.21 and PiFace. I then found the PicoChess forum and pestered everyone for how do I set that up. Here is that device. It's a Raspberry Pi 1 with the PiFace and the big SD card, etc. At the end of this video I will see if I can get that working. So I found the PicoChess forum, and PicoChess at that point was in the range of 0.6 something or other, and it went right up to 0.9n. Originally having 8 engines and then 12. During that reign, the DGT Pi was introduced with PicoChess on version 0.9L with the same 8 engines, I believe. Then Dirk took over from Jürgen and introduced versions 1, then 2, 2.01, now version 3 with 46 engines. I have every Raspberry Pi that's been released, including the 0 and 0 Plus, except the 3A. When I started, I don't believe it was on Wheezy, I believe it was Raspberry and Jessie, which moved to Stretch, which is now moved to Buster, aka Raspberry and OS. My current equipment, as you can see, is a DGT Pi limited edition with a Raspberry Pi 4 inside and a switchable Noctua fan with ventilation holes. So here's my limited edition Pi. You can see the ventilation on the back. It's got Raspberry Pi 4 in it, and that switch turns the fan on and off. I'm using a Windows tablet here and XRDP for my main GUI. And I've also got some remote engines on there, and I'm using an iPad as my web server. I regularly contribute on the following forums: PicoChess, Hiarcs, TalkChess and ProDeo. So I'm now going to switch things on and introduce the iPad as my web server. So my Revelation 2 is in Bluetooth mode. I'll need to plug in the Raspberry Pi, speaker and the power.
PicoChess. Come on, let's see some action.
It's always a great pleasure when you call me up.
Engine setup. Pico Tutor enabled.
So as you can see, I've booted into Stockfish 12, which is the first engine for all of us. I'm just going to scroll through a few of the normal engines, and I'm going to use my favourites as excerpts of other engines like MAME Engines, Neural Network Engines, LC0 Engines, Turing Engines, etc. I shall also show online and remote engines at the end of these normal engines. So you should all have these engines here as part of version 3. I haven't got Mayo in my setting here, I've got it on my LC0 engines, but it doesn't matter where you put them. So I'm not going to load any of the normal engines, you've all seen them in play. But at the end of the normal engines, you've got Dirk's PGN replay function, which is superb, where you can play through existing games, you can play some games you've saved yourself, the last game and 3 saved games, and there's various other things in there, as well as my game against Garry Kasparov. I think that was in 1993, but you can play through and find that, as well as loads others. Online fix, which you all got. Live chess is in beta and being tested. It may or may not be released. You can go into each of them. You can play as a guest or as a user, and you can set up opponents to play against. I've already got Henry and Dirk in here, and if I click on wait for friend and they log on and connect to me, then we will be connected. There's similar functionality in the live chess one. Then I've got the remote engines now. They are Windows engines that are on this Windows tablets. So there's a few here, as you can see. I've got the latest edition of EMAM, which is 6 point something. I haven't added on there yet. So for once, we can now play Komodo, the latest version. So you just download that from, well, it's not the latest version. I think the latest version and the version before that you pay for, and then they're free there. And so I think versions 12 and 13 are the latest versions now. You can download Komodo 11 free, load it on your Windows, and then you can just load it as a remote engine, which hopefully should pick up from here, but you won't see anything on that screen.
OK Engine.
And there is Komodo loaded. So the responses will be coming from Komodo on Windows. Maybe not fast. No. So there you go.
Abort. New game.
So then you go into the main game. So what engines? What I'm going to do from here though is go into my favourites, because I've set up a few MAMEs of those which show really nicely on the graphics here. What I should do in the meantime is set up the web server. So all that is type in the IP address into anything that's got the any browser. So in my case it's 192.168.1.231. Should have opened this a bit earlier, but now you can see that. So it's just mimicking everything I'm selecting on the screen. So if I go into favourites, I've got a couple of my own there that I love. This AVR Max, so I've actually got that. Well, actually I've got a lot of these. Chess Challenger 1 I have as well. But of course those two don't show the board, but I'll quickly show you them anyway. But we'll try.
Engine setup.
Oh no, it's still working. So this one and
OK Engine.
Chess Challenger 1, you can't see a board on them, but I just like them. So if I make a move, you see it responds, and Revelation lights are showing the move as well.
Abort. Engine setup. New game.
So I've set up a few more of my favourites here, including Chess Challenger 1, which I just gave a time time moves a fish of 5-3.
OK, engine.
But again, there's no
OK,
board here.
time.
You can see how weird it was to type in moves. I mean, if I open D2, E4, it's
E4.
5B, 5D, because of the board, well, the A to H and 1 to 8 were the wrong way round when they introduced it. They're now rare beasts.
Abort. Engine setup. New game.
Let the party begin. How come I get to play black all the time?
Engine setup.
So I'll show a few more of these. Sound wasn't working until we applied Randy's sound fix
OK,
recently.
time.
Now it works perfectly.
Engine setup. OK, engine.
I thought I'd set these to all work, but you just see you have to hit the Windows key if you get that up. And it shouldn't come up again because I set it in the settings to only come up once.
Engine setup. OK, engine. OK, time.
Knight F3. What's going on? You switch up my book or something? D5. Can points to go to pieces? Just a few. I just love this wide open structures. D4. Knight F6.
Abort. Engine setup. New game.
Simultano is one of my favourites. I've had that since new.
OK, engine. OK, time.
Was you get the LE board on there as well, which is amazing. So the move is made on both.
D5. Okay, you started the prawn throwing.
Abort. Engine setup. New game.
So as you can see, I've got a lot. This is one of my favourites. Task King. Again, I've got one of these. But not only is it showing the board, it's showing the control unit as well. It does take a while to load because it goes through all the screens, as you can see. But how nice is that?
OK, engine. OK, time.
So moving on to LC0. I've got the latest LC0 that's full release.
OK, time.
Version 0.270 is early stages. I think it's in RC1 at the moment. Of course, Maia, I gave everyone a copy the other day, up to 1900, which I believe they're working on weights files for 2000 and 2100.
Engine setup. OK, engine.
I love this engine.
That day we made a call. I'm asking for a game of chess.
D5,
And there we go. Give it a bit of the London system.
F4, knight C6, A3, knight F6,
As you can see, it plays quick because it only goes through one ply. But I suspect that some of you have played against it already.
abort, new game,
Oh, let's go again. I'm the right one. Let's have some fun, yeah? No. I am tired of playing black all the time.
Right, then you get on to your others. These are in the Turing engines, I believe. You've got your adaptive engine, got your Centaur, Sargon, Sunfish. Then you move on to the NNUEs. There's a friend of mine, Michael, God, I can't think of his surname. Michael Byrne, Byrne. He's doing the Honey Suite, and he's just introduced a Harman engine from our Beth Harman from Queen's Gambit, but it's very similar to the Honey, Bluefish, Black Diamond, Oki Maguro, things like that. They're all derived from Stockfish.
engine setup. OK engine,
So you're in ends, then you're back round. So a quick way to get right back at the beginning, of course, is the old method of when the DGT Pi was not around. Is just use the black queen on there. That should be Stockfish.
engine setup. OK engine,
So it just selects the first 8 engines using your queen across that rank there. The same as the time are everywhere. Fisher 5-3 is here, I think.
OK time,
So before I go, I just want to see if this connects here. So let's close this. Let's use the queens.
abort, goodbye.
Imagine me installed, gonna play chess. Wow.
Right, this will need an adapter, which I have on here. There is no sound on here. So let's see what happens. Won't need that. Nor this, they weren't around then, but I'll leave that there. I'm going to reset this just in case. It shouldn't be necessary. It's my Raspberry Pi 4 charger, that's why I need that little adapter there. It's a Raspberry Pi 1, so it will take a while to boot. Whether it will then connect via Bluetooth to this board remains to be seen. It's only got the one engine, which is Stockfish. What level of Stockfish it will be then, I don't know. 5 maybe? 6? I don't know. There are a series of menus on here that I've forgotten how to use. I have to watch Ismet's video on YouTube. Well, there's Bluetooth flashing. Now look at that, see, it's PicoChess 0.21, and there it is, look. We're linked. There's no voices, so I haven't plugged the voices in. There's no LEDs or anything, but I should be able to play again now. F5, book. So it's responded F5. And I have to make the moves and I've got no LEDs. I wouldn't have a clue what to play against that. E6, etc. So it's got a rocker switch on here. All different menus. Oh, engine menu. Now which one is the select button? There we are. Stockfish, 23rd of February 2014. Are there any more on here? No. Well, your guess is as good as mine. But we'll leave it at there. At least it works. Unbelievable. Okay, thank you and see you next time.